Hey guys, Troy Francis coming at you from London. You're going to have to walk away sometimes from women that you really, really like. Okay, now this is a very, very hard lesson to learn. It's something that I've had great difficulty with in the past, and it's not easy. Okay, but you're going to have to learn to do it. All right, now I've got various examples of this, but there was one particular time I was dating this girl and it was a really messed up situation, right? Because she actually had a boyfriend at the time. Now, I was aware of this. She'd been upfront with me about this. Now, it was a slightly different situation because we'd known each other before. Not, I mean, that doesn't make it right, but we previously sort of dated, and then she got together with this guy. This was years later. She got together with this guy, but she wasn't happy with the guy. Well, this is what she said anyway. She wasn't happy with the guy. She was she wanted to leave the guy. Everything was on the way out, in terms of the relationship. The sex had gone. They become like friend, brother and sister. The vibe just wasn't there any longer in this relationship, and she was looking for an out, and she was also looking for some excitement or whatever. So we got together. As I say, not proud of it. I don't recommend it, but that's just what happened at the time. Okay, so we were having this kind of clandestine, secret affair sort of thing, but which would have been fine. It should have been fine, right? That should have been enough. Okay, but the problem was that I really liked her. Okay, and so I wanted something more, and really, the reason, to exonerate myself slightly here, the reason that I'd entered into it and sort of gone along with it was because she was saying, well, I'm going to leave my boyfriend. Okay, I'm going to leave him, so then we're good to go. So I sort of thought, well, okay, fine. Obviously her relationship is on its last legs. She's going to leave the guy anyway. We can, get together, whatever, and then she can leave him, and then we'll be together, and we'll live happily ever after, or whatever. But that didn't happen, okay? And what happened instead was, so I got along with this, and we were seeing each other. We meet like once a week, once every couple of weeks, whatever. But she didn't leave the boyfriend, okay? Every time it was like an excuse. It was like, oh, well, I can't at the moment because of this, or this thing's happened, or that thing's happened. And it went on and on and on and on. And then there was an issue where she had to move out of her accommodation where she was staying for some reason. I can't remember why. And she said, well, look, the only option I'm going to have now is to move in with my boyfriend. And I said, well, look, that's not the only option. You can come and stay with me. And look, you've been saying all of this time, you're going to leave your boyfriend. So this really is the natural next step, isn't it? Tell your boyfriend it's finished. Come and move into my place. Happy days. You have left the relationship which you've told me is no longer functional. You say you really like me, so we're together. Not everybody's happy, but it's the natural evolution of this situation. Okay. And she said okay, and she said I'll think about it, blah 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 blah, and ahhed about it. And I kind of knew, I suppose, on some level, but inevitably what ended up happening was that she moved in with the boyfriend. Now she said, well, look, we've been together for so long, I can't just leave like that. It's so hard, blah blah blah. Now at that point, I was like, okay, look, I'm out now. I can't continue. This situation is messed up. I can't continue with this. It's not fair on anybody. And also the fact that you're living with somebody 24/7 is just not going to work for me. She then went on a charm offensive and sort of, I suppose, turned me around a little bit. We spent some time together, and I was like, okay, well, whatever. I'll ride this out for a bit. We'll see what happens. But unfortunately, at that point, the die was cast, and it was too painful for me because I really liked her. You know, it was too painful for me thinking of her the whole time. She's living with this dude, you know, and this is somebody that I had all these feelings for, you know, and things just deteriorated from there really, because I probably then came across as far more needy than I had at the beginning. I mean, I suppose at the beginning she'd seen me as this sort of slightly exciting kind of escape route from the situation she was in. Not necessarily that she'd intended to leave the guy, but just that she saw me probably as this sort of, you know, this naughty little secret that was kind of a bit of fun, and it was bringing some colour into the mundanity of where her life had gone. But I betrayed, I think, neediness with her in terms of my behaviour, because it was becoming more and more sort of like, oh, what do you know, when are you going to leave this guy? When are you going to come to me? Blah, blah, blah. And I suppose that was probably a turn-off for her. And also as well, I think it was becoming emotionally difficult for her because she, for whatever reason, you know, she felt she had allegiances over here, and then I was over here going on at her, blah, blah, blah. And I think it would have been difficult for her anyway. So, you know, then the relationship between the two of us started to suffer. You know, the sex started to become less, and it was, you know, we started to decline as well. Until in the end, we reached this point of sort of stalemate, really, where we were really hardly doing anything. She was still living with the guy. She wasn't happy, but she wasn't able to extricate herself from that situation. And she kind of seemed to want me there for emotional support, but not really very much else. And so it had gone from what had been this quite, I suppose, exciting kind of fun thing at the beginning to something that was very different to that. And at some point, you know, I woke up and I was just like, look, this is just... And to put it into context, this woman was absolutely 100% my type. You know, she was great. She was very beautiful, very sexy. She was incredibly intelligent, amazing to talk to, warm, caring, all of these great qualities. You know, and when we got together, I genuinely thought this could be it. Okay, this could be the one. All she needs to do is extricate herself from this relationship that she's clearly not happy in. She said is over. And then we can move forward, and this could finally be it, you know? So from that context, I was obviously quite emotionally invested, emotionally and cerebrally and everything else invested in this woman, in this situation, okay? But, and this is, I suppose, the one sensible thing that I did do in this whole thing, I had set myself a kind of a mental deadline, because I suppose I've been aware on some level as we got into this situation. I've become aware on some level that emotionally it was fairly dangerous terrain for me. I knew that there was the potential here for me to be hurt by this, and so I gave myself a sort of mental cutoff point. I thought, well, I'll give her 6 months, basically, to sort this out, and if after that time we haven't moved in the right direction, then I'm going to have to I'm going to have to be out. So, and it was coming up to the 6 months. And we'd reached this sort of impasse where it just nothing was really happening. It was sort of stuck, but we were still in incommunicado. But it was sort of, I was almost like the emotional support system, but not very much more than that. And as I say, at that point, I woke up and I was like, right, I'm going to have to rip the ejector seat button now. I'm going to have to remove myself from this situation. And so I did. And so I sent her an email and I said, look, you know, this is just not working for me anymore. Good luck, but I'm out. And obviously, you know, well, she responded and she said, well, that's very sad. And I just said, well, yes, I know it is. But, you know, this hasn't moved in the direction in the manner that I thought it was going to move. I have to, you know, I have to get out of this. And I got out of it. And it was incredible actually, because as much as I was in love with this woman, I thought I was in love with this woman, as much as I was, you know, I had these feelings for her and everything, the relief that I felt when I'd walked away was incredible. You know, I just felt this freedom, this lifting of this weight from me, you know? And this was walking away from a woman that I had thought was my dream woman, okay? And the feeling of liberation afterwards was extraordinary. Okay? So, and then after that I thought, well look, I've like romantically now the worst thing really has happened to me, because I met somebody that I thought could have been, I mean, I don't believe in the concept of the one, but if anyone was going to be the one, at the time, I thought it was going to be her. And I've lost her, I've walked away from her, and I'm still okay, I'm still alive, I'm still intact. And I thought, well, if I can get through that, then surely I can get through anything, you know, because I've walked away from the person who was my number one, if you like. That doesn't though make it easier when it happens again, or something similar happens again the next time. But you do realise it's just relationships are so difficult, okay? Because we get caught up in the mythology that we've created around the other person and around the narrative that we've created about the two of us together and what that means, okay? And we get so invested in this stuff. And that's why I think pulling away is so damn difficult. But when you do pull away, there is life on the other side. And I mean, I think now, thank God, I didn't get embroiled in that situation. And, you know, if she had have moved in with me, because my history of living together with women has been not very good, to be honest. I've only really done it a couple of times. Both times I haven't enjoyed it. It's been a bit disastrous, really. And no doubt a lot of that's due to my personality type, which is quite avoidant, quite introverted, you know, and possibly some stuff on their side as well. But yeah, I think the reality is, if she had have moved in with me and it had have gone down that route, I don't think I would have been happy anyway. So in many ways, I think that I was blessed in that situation by the way things turned out. Of course, it doesn't feel like that at the time, but I think that I was. So, and it's happened to me a couple of times in different sort of scenarios where I've met somebody and I thought, if anybody's going to be, this is somebody who I like enough or I love enough for whatever reasons that I believe that this could be for, you know, this could be the one that I say, right, this is it for the long term, okay? And I've had to walk away from them. And that's just how it is. You know, you have to be prepared to do that, because the problem is, if you're not prepared to do that, you can get yourself into some very, very bad situations, both mentally, emotionally, financially, legally, so many different things. You know, we get blinded sometimes by love or by lust or the combination of the two. And you've got to be prepared to cut those ties sometimes. And the reality is, there is life on the other side. You know, there really is. As I say, we get so caught up in the fantasy we create around somebody that we start to lose our perspective on reality, I think. Or we can do. So just take from that what you will, but I just want you to appreciate that however invested you are with her, I'm not saying always be prepared to pull the ripcord, because, look, I mean, if you're going to marry somebody and you're going to really make it for, you know, serious, long term, okay, fine, do that. But if circumstances get to a point where you are not happy, or you know that you won't be happy if it continues on a certain route, or you know that deep down that this is going against whatever your basic needs are, whatever your fundamental, whatever your fundamental persona is, whatever that needs, if this is somehow going against that, then in the end you're going to have to walk away, okay? And you've got to be prepared to do that. So, I hope that was of value. I hope you got something out of that. Let me know your experiences in the comments below. Do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you want to learn more about dating skills, then you can book a free call with me on Calendly. The link is below, and we can have a talk about that. And by the way, this is why you need to understand the dating marketplace and to understand modern dating skills, because if you get into a situation like that, you come out the other side, then you're going to want to have some confidence that you can meet new people, okay? Because if you can't, then you might think, well, really, this is the best I can do, so I better just stick here. And that could be very, very bad for you. So even if it's not about having some massive harem or something like that, but you want to know that you've got the social skills in place so that if things go wrong here, you've got a chance of rebuilding things elsewhere. You've got a chance of having a social life. You've got a chance of meeting somebody new and bringing them into your life, whatever. So grab my bundle of books. I've got a bundle of 11 books about dating, the dating marketplace, my experiences with all of this stuff. It's called Renegade Dating Blueprint. The link is below. As I say, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. What else? Book a free call with me. And that's about it. So I will see you guys again very soon. Bye-bye.